Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's watching and listening right now in the podcast. Today is Monday, February the 9th, 2026. I'm here to give you a story that I couldn't believe that this happened, but this is another example how we're living in the last days and there's a lot of negligence going around, a lot of people getting jobs just to do to pay ends meet, and that doesn't mean they're really doing a good job. They're just, cutting corners, doing things their way just to get a paycheck, and that's why you have to pay attention. So I'm gonna give you a trigger warning. What happened in this case is very sad, and it's very sad. I just can't believe that this happened, right? So let me give you a trigger warning before I continue. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching and subscribing on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It means a lot to me. And of course, everybody who has been following me on Spotify podcast, don't forget to do that. It helps me as a creator, as well as if you follow JulissaDesigns podcast on Apple Podcasts. Excuse me, I almost forgot what the name is. On Apple Podcasts, it helps me as a creator. So I'm gonna give you a trigger warning. If you've been listening to what I do, to this podcast for a while, you kind of can tell that I always mention this thing, which is very important. I always say if you have a loved one in a center where they get taken care of without you being there, like a daycare, a nursing home, um, even like if you hire a babysitter to work from your house, always check on your family member, always check on change behavior, and always, sometimes we're so scheduled everything that we do. It's okay if you show up sometimes unannounced. You don't have to say, I'll be there, earlier tomorrow. Go ahead and show up unannounced. Sometimes, if you don't find anything suspicious, that's great, right? But if you do, then you're able to stop something from happening. You're able to realize maybe this is not a place for them to be at, right? And you're able to take action. That's what I meant to say. So in this case, like I said, I cannot believe the negligence and the criminology that happened here. It's just so crazy to even put it into words. I don't have a word for it. It's very sad. So imagine this. We all seen those minivans that transport elderly people, disabled adults. They bring them to like shopping centers. They transport them to wherever they need to go, right? And it's usually like a minivan so they can put in the wheelchairs, and they bring them to the doctor's appointments and all of that. So a person who was doing that, right? He was transporting them to different locations, I guess you can say, but he decided to make a pit stop at his house during work hours, right? So he goes pick three disabled adults, right? He picks them off. He Instead of driving them to their location, he takes a break and brings them into his house and leaves them, right? He goes in the house, but he leaves the three adults inside the van in his garage with the motor running, right? And goes inside his house. This is the worker for the transport company. Goes inside his house, get a snack, and start watching TV and basically, just hang out while he's at work, having three adults, innocent people that are unable to defend themselves, right? Unable to call for help. This is so sad, you guys. And this is the society that we're living in right now. And forgets about them. And, when he decides to, okay, I gotta go back to work now, right? And do what I was hired to do. He goes back to the garage and find them, all three of them, all responsive. And all three of them, listen to this, all three of them die from carbon monoxide poisoning. So this man, the worker, just got arrested for this, and this is so sad. It's so sad that these people went through this. I cannot imagine the family members getting that. The family members getting that phone call, right? You instruct these people, you trust them to hire. Let's just start with the hiring process, to do background checks, to hire people, to monitor your workers. You have three lives under in your responsibility. You're a driver. Where are your supervisors, right? Why there's no monitoring, checking you? Like, what are you doing at home? You are supposed to be at work. What are you doing at home on work hours, taking a nap while you have three adults that are unable to call for help themselves? And you go inside your house to watch television and eat a snack? And this is why you have to be so careful. And I say this many times all the time, right? Um, it, People are getting one, two, three jobs, right? You think they're really gonna give one job, like all those jobs, 100%? They're just trying to, to make ends meet. So when you have people just working 4 or 3 jobs, you think they're really gonna do 100% on that? And where are these his supervisors, right? Where is the morality when you are hired by a company who specializes in helping people with disabilities? That there is no tracking, say, it's showing that the minivan is back at this employee's house. What are they doing there for so long? I mean, why is he bringing patients to his house? Not only that, but to leave them in the garage. Like, let me read you guys this article, right? Because this is very sad. Like I said, and this happened in West Valley City, Utah. An employee responsible for transporting people with disabilities was arrested after three patients were found dead from carbon monoxide poisoning in a car that was left running. His name is Asaya Pulu, 25-year-old. A young 25-year-old guy was arrested this Friday on several charges, including 3 counts of manslaughter and aggravated abuse over vulnerable adults, according to Utah West Valley City Police Department. The arrest comes after Pulu, that's his name, Pulu allegedly left 3 disabled patients in a running vehicle for several hours. All 3 men, identified by police as Colton Moser, 22 years old, Mosai Moa, a 39-year-old, 22-year-old Mosai Moa, and 25-year-old Colton Moser, and 39 years old Tim Jones died, from carbon monoxide poisoning. Officials say Polu was an employee of the transport company who is responsible for driving the victims to different assisted living facilities. He allegedly told investigators that while transporting the men, he stopped at his house about 10 a.m. on Friday because one of them was being disruptive. Why would you go to your house if one of them is being disruptive or combative? Like, you should be like, I'm calling my supervisor. This is just getting out of hand. I need help. Why would you drive home? This guy has been doing this for a while, guys. Polu allegedly left the man in the running car, which was inside a garage, and went to his apartment to eat and watch TV. He told investigators that when he left, the garage door was open and the car had the windows down. Police say Polu returned to check on the men and to take them to the group home around 1:30 p.m. From 10 a.m. that he went back to his house to 1:30 a.m., this man was in his house chilling on work time, while these 3 unable to defend themselves adults were sitting in this car running. I mean, with the motor running, waiting. Like, I cannot imagine that this happened. I cannot imagine what they went through their head. And like, this is also an alert for like people who live in communities. If you see something, call us and question things. Sometimes we don't question anything, and then things go hidden for so many months, right? If you see something strange, wait a second, these people have been sitting in this van for so long. What's going on with them, right? Where is the driver? Go out and ask somebody, right? And if sometimes just telling another person, maybe that person will be more courageous and say, let's find out what's going on, let's call this and call the other, right? um It's so crazy. So he went there at 10 a.m., right? And at 1:30 p.m., he went back to the car. And he said he found the garage door closed and the car was turned off and all the three men unresponsive. First responders were called to the scene and declared the men dead. And it says here, people with disabilities are certainly more likely to be abused or neglected, the police said. When asked whether current laws and regulations protect people with disability, the police say there are some great laws and regulations, but oversight of some services providers could be better. He also offered guidance for families and community members concerned about safety in disability cases. So um, that didn't really say much about, you know, if he's was this the first time that he has done this. It's just so sad all around, right? What neighborhood is that? That nobody says anything. Um, Nobody knows. Maybe it says a garage, so it definitely was an apartment building. Or like you telling me that this man, this is why you have to check on your people because you will think an adult with reasonable human morals will be like, these men are being disrupted. I don't want nothing bad to happen. Let me call a supervisor and get some advice and see what they want me to do, or return back to the original location and be like, I know it's gonna be a while before I bring them to the group home, but one of them is a little agitated. Can we do something about it? But he's gonna go home. It's almost like he left them in the car as a punishment. And this is where you have to check on them, right? Because there are people who have these positions, right? They work in the caregiving. And obviously, when I say these guys, I'm not saying everybody, but there are people who have these caregiving positions that, it's almost like when you deal with somebody who has a disability, let's say they like to hit you or something. When they hit you, there are people who be like, I understand what's going on. Like, but there are people who, if they see the person with disability hitting them a couple times, there's something that clicks on them and they no longer believe that it's because of their condition. They believe it's something else. And then they might do some retaliation. That's just reality. I'm not making anything up. That's why there's so many videos that come out from daycares. There are videos from daycares coming out that are crazy. Another a lady at a daycare throwing a shoe at a child with disabilities. Like, who does that, right? So this is why you have to always be on top of things. If you're getting outside help, like a daycare, nursing home, even adult daycare, to check on any change behavior. Because even that, speaking of that video that I saw from the daycare that came out last week, this young woman working at a daycare throws a shoe at a child with disabilities, and the coworkers are laughing at her while the child is crying because she got hit with a shoe from a worker. Like, one thing is to do and nobody sees you, like, and the camera video comes on, everybody's like, "Child, we can't believe she did that." But to have coworkers around you cheering you on to do that, that's insane, right? And this is the society, excuse me, that we're living in right now. How is this man gonna go home and chill from 10 a.m. to 1:30 while you are responsible for the life of three people that you left outside in the car? And he's like, I went back and then the garage door was closed and the windows were closed in the car. He probably knew this man went back and checked on that car, and he probably didn't see anything and was like, you know what, I'm gonna wait to 1:30, so you know I'm just gonna lock everything up. They'll be alright, or probably something like this, right? And the reason that he probably did that so easily, there was no like, man, I shouldn't be at home. Like, I mean, they're gonna come call me, or they're gonna wonder what happened. He probably had done this before. He had probably has driven to his house during work hours with patients in the van before. This is probably a normal thing for him to do that. So it's just so sad. I cannot imagine what the family are going through. Um, Let me see what else. First responders were called to the scene and declared all the three men dead. It says here that I'm trying to see if anybody has if I find more information about if if a neighbor saw anything strange, or a neighbor will say, oh yeah, every morning this guy comes, or maybe he does it like 3 times a week. And he always leaves the van parked over there or something. Maybe now it's too late for any neighbors to speak, I guess, right? Um, Let me just read here. Somebody said, this is absolutely horrible. The caretaker left them in a running car inside a garage for 1 to 2 hours. It was over 3 hours, right? From 10 a.m. to 1, it was over 3 hours. Somebody said, this breaks my heart. This is the most vulnerable among us. Don't get protection they deserve. And they're saying, just lock this guy up forever, right? And oh, somebody put here, this is interesting. This is my apartment complex. When I saw cops at 3:30 p.m. Passing by, I wondered what was up. When I saw them, they were still there at 9 p.m. And he was researching, and then he found out what was going on. Wow. Somebody said, this is tragic and sickening. I look up every news article about it, and not a single one has named the transport company. That's the thing. No, like that's what I'm looking for, more information about who hired this kid. Where are the people monitoring his you know his driving? Like, usually if you're transporting this handicap, I mean, I'm sure they have wheelchairs, right? Wouldn't you need a driver and an assistant, especially if you have more than one, right? Because you need help, making sure they're okay, and like unloading them out of the van. And if he's going to three different facilities, you need help with that too, right? Um, and keeping them calm. Who was the transport company that didn't research about? He said, wait a second. If he didn't bring them to the group home, like, where is he at? He picked them up already. What is he doing? For 3.5 hours, there was no supervisor checking on him, no human rights. Like, they all have rights, and they all have you know, privacy protection and all of that. He was hired to bring them from point A to point B. He wasn't allowed to parade them everywhere. Not only that, but to bring them to his house, right? And then look what happened. And this is the thing, like, this is why I believe this man has done this for a while, because like I told you guys, I'm sorry that I keep going back to what I've been saying, but I feel like a lot of these stories are so similar, because people think that they're going to get away with something, right? And then, you know, God is going to expose it, and He's going to expose it to the point that it's just, it's, you get warned, right? And then you're in big trouble now, right? Now it's like there's no way out. Now he's going to jail for a very long time, right? And also, they need to investigate, right, the transport company. And this type of behavior says a lot. This person was never checked upon. This worker was never checked upon by an employee. And I wonder how long he has been working there, right? I wonder who the supervisor is. And it, you hear sometimes when you work at a company for a long time, and people say things, right? So for him to, there's not a colleague checking on him and say, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on?" Like, I drop off my patients and they were waiting for your patient to do the program or something. It's not one patient. He had three of them. So that's something that's going to be, you know, all of this information. There's so much information, and I think they're keeping that transport company in detail hidden for obvious reason. They don't want to, because now they're all going to be investigated. All the drivers are going to be investigated. They should have monitors in those vans, right? You're being trusted with people's life. They should have monitors, right? In cameras, cameras too. So let me just see here what else people saying. Um, oh, there was an update that came 2 days ago. So this happened Friday. It says here, this update happened late on Friday. It says here that the patients were left unattended for over 3 hours from 10 a.m. to 1:30 for booking documents. Pulu told police, this is the guy, the worker, he left the van running with the windows down and the garage door open. However, he states the garage door was closed when he returned to the garage. The name of the transport company has finally been named and confirmed as Safe and Sound Services LLC. Oh, so it was already released. And so he's saying that you really think that he's gonna leave the windows down during cold winter days, right? Yeah, that man knew what he was doing. This is how people are getting hired now to do this type of services. It's crazy. Um, it's so sad that this happened to them. I'm researching more information, but um, I don't think I'll be able to get it. You know what it is to take? You know how long it takes to get a person that needs assistance to get them ready, and probably how excited they get. This is so sad, guys. How excited they get to go out and go to whatever they were going, group home, some type to do some type of activity. They're probably looking forward to that, and this guy is gonna drive them to a garage. So it's so sad, you guys. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's watching and listening in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless. Hi, everybody. This is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.